Okay, so you're getting a little sneak peek of a project I worked on a long time ago and never really did anything with, but it was a terrible exercise in feature creep. So, I'm going to go over some of those ideas with you. First of all, this started off as just a pretty standard shoot 'em up, and I was trying to see if I could get the kind of the feel from Lightning Force for the Sega Genesis. It's a great game, beautiful, some of the best pixel art ever. But what I thought was cool about it is instead of trying to power up your ship all the time, you started off with a full arsenal and you got to switch between weapons as you wanted. So here's a little very busy cheat sheet that doesn't do a good job of explaining anything. So basically you can tap a weapon and it shoots several bullets, or you've got rapid fire. You've got main weapons and sub weapons. You can also swap between two sub-weapons. So one is lightning that goes in any direction, is very powerful, but totally unusable in terms of like trying to plan for anything. And then you've got missiles that shoot above you and later below you as well. You can charge up, you can do rapid fire, or you can charge up your shot. You might notice this says critical alert at the top, and I've got lightning going around me. Check this out. You can absorb bullets, right? Check it. All right, so you can absorb when you absorb 4 bullets. Oh man. All right, let me start this again. Sorry, it's been a while. You can see kind of faintly at the bottom there's a life bar right under your ship. And if you take damage, it's supposed to show you. Nope. Maybe it's just if you get shot. You see bullets actually bad guys actually drop things. Now I have 2 shots. I've got 2 bullets. That's because each bullet type has its own experience points that it gathers. You also get experience points for just shooting things and killing it, but each so you have like a general level up, which is why I have that little floating orb around me now. And you also have each weapon levels up. You also have this absorb ability, where if you absorb, I think so many bullets. Yeah, when you absorb a couple of bullets, you then absorb everything on screen. And after you do that, you have like a mega bomb that you can shoot off. You've got these guys. This was meant to be a currency later in the game to like unlock new items. I had a whole system that was like there were going to be some items that you found, some items that you leveled up, and some items that you bought upgrades for. So when you absorb a bullet, you then get a free charge that you don't require any charge up time to do. You also had something called, I think I called it chain skipping or something, or chain charges or something. Skip charge, maybe that was it, I can't remember. But you see that I'm glowing blue when I'm fully charged, and I've got a glow around me. When you let go, that goes away, and then you flash blue for just a second. And so there's this idea I had that you could get a power-up that allowed you to do non-stop charge-free charge attacks by timing it right. So if you hit the bullet properly, or if you hit the shot button every time you flashed blue, you could just keep like a successive chain of charge shots going. But if you hit it too early, it cancels the charge out. Super powerful. You get the rhythm right. Okay, so and then when you beat it, it tells you all your stats. So you've got your shots fired, your shots hit, shots missed, percentage hit, shots percent missed, absorb used, shots absorbed, shots absorbed. Longest time unhit. So every time I use the absorb button, I got some. Although that number gets screwy because sometimes you can absorb 2 or 3 bullets with 1. So sometimes that's higher or lower. Longest time unhit, enemies encountered and enemies defeated. Now the time unhit, I wanted to get into this idea that you've got snowball and comeback mechanics. And so basically this game started off really simple, right? It started off with just a shooter that you could choose your weapons. And then I went back and played Diablo 3 after not having played it for like years and found that it was much better than it was when it came out at when it was released. And one of the things I loved about it is that the game basically just rewarded you every time you did anything. Like, legitimately, every time you hit an enemy, you got some kind of reward. You killed 16 enemies in a short amount of time, you got an XP multiplier. If you got, there were power-ups that made you stronger, or power-ups that gave you health and money and all this stuff, and like you constantly are collecting weapons that are useless but have random stats, and sometimes they're better than what you have, and sometimes they're worse, and if they're worse, you can turn them into crafting materials to get better weapons. And I loved Diablo 3, so I wanted to incorporate some of Diablo 3 into the shoot 'em up, which is a crazy idea if there ever was one. So I added the XP system. There's also, you have stats like defense, speed, hit points. Your bullets get, I don't know if you noticed, but the charge shot at the end of the game, at the end of the level, was much larger than it was at the beginning because it had leveled up. You get the little spinning blue orbs that will absorb shots. As you level up, you get the charge skipping, or whatever I called it, after you level up a few times. And a lot of this, the idea was that like there would be a hub and you could buy new weapons. And I still want to actually turn this into a full game sometime, but I kind of stopped because its ambition was outgrowing my ability to program the things that I liked for it. So I was like, I'm just going to can this and come back to it when I've got more knowledge under my belt. Yeah, so if you absorb a few bullets, I think after the 4th bullet you absorb, you will instantly absorb every bullet on screen, or they'll break apart into particles and you'll absorb all those. Then if you hit a certain button after you've absorbed, I think 50 of those particles, you'll have that mega bomb go off. And there's really no explanation for that. I actually didn't want there to be. I thought it'd be really cool if people were just playing the game and they were absorbing bullets, because it's kind of an advanced tactic. You get a full charge shot if you absorb a bullet, so it's kind of got high risk, high reward. And then I kind of wanted them to be able to like shoot the bullet or hit the shoot button after they've absorbed so many, and this mega bomb go off and kill everything, and then just be like, what on earth happened? And it felt kind of like a secret in an old video game. You know, like you don't know how it happened. It just happened, and then you kind of figure out over time, like, oh, you know, if you absorb so many bullets, then you get this mega bomb thing. And I'm not sure if obscure game design, like obscure choices like that, are good or bad. It seems like that might just annoy people, but I was trying to think of like being a kid in the arcade, and like there were rumors of stuff, and they were like, there's all these rumors and secrets, and that was the coolest thing to me. And so I wanted to get some of that feeling here. Now, back to like this longest time unhit. I was talking about snowball and comeback mechanics. So obviously snowball is like an NBA Jam. After you get like 2 scores, the announcer says he's on fire, and your turbo is faster, and you can slam dunk from further back, and you can do all these cool things. So it's like a snowball. Like the better you are doing, the stronger you become. And so that was kind of the idea with like, obviously as you level up, you get stronger, but also I wanted to reward players for not getting hit. So the longer you go without getting hit, the shorter it takes to charge your weapon. And there's like a cap on it or something, but I think like if you go like 80 seconds without being hit, then to charge your weapon fully takes half as long as it does than after you get hit. And then as a comeback mechanic, obviously a comeback mechanic helps you when you're in a pinch, when you're up against the wall. And so every time you take damage, your hitbox actually gets a little bit smaller each time. And I think the absorb mechanic that you have is actually animated slower when you've taken more damage. So you've got a better chance of absorbing bullets when you're close to death. And then I want to show you this like weird revival mechanic I came up with. This was, okay, so you take damage and your health goes down. You can barely see the health. Okay, now check this out. I've got 1 more hit left, and then it's going to say critical, right? I've got my lightning around me, and it says critical. If I hit the absorb button, it starts this like little mini game, so check this out. Alright, I missed it. If you line up those 2 circles, that one instantly puts you in critical mode because it's a giant beam. So if you hit the absorb button, I think it's been a long time since I've played this, right between, it revives you fully. And then, so like what stops you from just being invincible? Well, that circle gets smaller faster each time you do it. Oh, also the more damage you take, the longer your invincibility frames are. Oh, see, that time I missed it. It was way faster. So let's just go ahead and take lots of damage. Go into critical. Oh, I hit it too early. And that center orb for the boss exploded because I think it has... So there was this idea I wanted to do where, like, it had varying difficulty. Oh, game over. Alright, well, like, you saw that it had, like, the big kind of, like, Tesla coil looking like energy around it when I successfully did get revived. That'll destroy all bullets, so you won't just die instantly. It's not like respawning into a bullet storm or something like that. Yeah, there was a lot of crazy ideas I had packed in here because I played Diablo 3 and wanted to make this game more like an RPG. So I have like this notebook full of ideas about like, okay, between every level you get to dock at like a satellite or some kind of space station, and they can heal you up, and you can buy certain things with currency, and other things require materials to craft, and there's some things that you just level up, and there's weapons you'll get from bosses, and there's going to be optional bosses. And I had this idea that in the middle of levels, it would prompt you with a random mission to give you a unspecified bonus. So like, you wouldn't lose anything if you failed the mission, but you would just get bonuses if you did. So a timer might just show up and it'll say like, defeat 30 enemies. And if you defeat 30 enemies by the time the timer goes up, then you get like some big bonus. Or it'll say like, you know, don't shoot for 10 seconds or shoot X amount of shots or whatever random thing I could come up with that would create some kind of prompt for you to do a thing to get this reward. Let's see if there's any other things I forgot about here. Let's see, you can do just the single shot with the rapid fire, or if you tap the button. I wanted you to be able to keep like a rapid flow just by like tapping the button. Oh yeah, you get like a... Hang on a second. Oh, it says combo and level up. Each weapon has its own charge. Now I leveled up super fast because I used the charge shot, and if you defeat 2 enemies, or if you defeat so many enemies at once, you get a yeah, you'll notice that charge shot like goes further out now. Oh yeah, and this one, when it levels up, sends out additional like energy balls to then go explode. And the idea was that like, so like each, oh, I didn't realize I got hit. So like each bullet has its own experience points and levels up. The boss also had a secret weak spot where if you used this and you shot it into like right there, it's supposed to be like in the basically like in the afterburner, you could kind of like have this Death Star kind of deal where like you shot a torpedo like right down the ventilation shaft or whatever, the Death Star. So like you could kill this boss in one hit. But then I realized that when you shot this thing, it did an insane amount of damage either way. It was kind of unfair. It was just like such a huge advantage that there was just no reason not to use anything else. Because it would go into an enemy and then explode, and then like every single bullet that was repelled would also... God, I can't believe I keep missing this. I'm bad at this game. Yeah, when it exploded, every single bullet would land in the enemy at the same time. Oh man, I'm gonna try this one more time. And then it was just killing everything way too fast. Man, I am really bad at... I want to try that one more time. Yeah, so the more damage you take, the longer your invincibility frames are. There you go. See, it kind of cleared out the enemies. And then next time I do it, it's really fast, but I was able to do it. Let's see if I can do it a third time, which is almost instantaneously. Yep, nope. Haha, not doing that. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and just defeat all of these and get the point multiplier. If you get right in the center here. Oh, and the charge shot that you fire actually gets smaller each time it hits a bad guy, so you'll notice that like it doesn't actually hit everything. And this game, I'm really proud of it. It had some really cool concepts. It just, it was too much for the level that I was at the time. So I was like, I need to do something simpler for now. And also, I mean, it's got a lot of problems. Like, this enemy right here just doesn't fit in line with anything else. There are definitely, like, a few design flaws that I definitely got better with over time. And whatever happened just then, I just apparently have... That's clearly a glitch that I didn't account for. Yeah, I just have a shield that won't go away. Also, because you have invincibility frames, you can just run into back at... I have no idea what's going on. I don't know how I created that glitch. There you go. Alright, just a little energy ball now. But that's that game. It had some good design ideas and it had some bad ones. Well, some that just weren't as thought out, but it had some really good ones too. So, yeah, I hope you got some entertainment out of this and got some insights from the way I design things. And this is, granted, this is an older one. And I actually, instead of trying to ramp things up, I tried to ramp things down. There's I think Michelangelo or somebody said, perfection is not achieved when there's nothing left to add, but when there's nothing left to take away. So I tried to simplify my games from this point and kind of get like, okay, we've got all these stats, but which ones do you really need? And which ones do you really want? And let's just get rid of the ones that, you know, like I had the bullet that would go in the direction that you're not moving towards. And I was going to have it to where it aimed in the direction that you were moving, but then I was like, then you have to move towards danger to hit anything. That's not really ideal, so what if you used it to like retreat away from things? And I was going to design aspects of levels where most of the enemies were coming up behind you or something. Or that's why a lot of those enemies kind of close in from the top and bottom at the same time, was to give you a reason to use the wave gun, or like the wave pattern. And so there were some neat ideas, and I was going to make it so that like, okay, the first level is you're just destroying everything you can, but the second level, you're in an asteroid belt and you need to dodge more than anything. And the third level is you're going to be completely outgunned by an invincible ship that's trying to chase you down. So all you can do is you're just try to run away from it the entire time, just dodge things. And then there might be a level where you're escorting another ship and you have to protect it the whole time. And try to get a lot of variation out of one gameplay type, just so that each level didn't feel identical. It was still the same kind of genre and everything, same controls and everything, but just gave some variety to those, to what was going on. But yeah, anyway, I've been rambling on for far too long, but there's a sneak peek at a game that almost nobody ever saw. So there you go, man. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks. Bye.